In the dramatic unfolding of the latest episode, Yihan vehemently rejected Haejun's contrived narrative, expressing profound distaste for the notion of him succumbing to a fabricated madness born out of love for her. Cutting through the tension, he confrontationally questioned whether she genuinely believed he would stoop to such theatrics for her sake. Haejun, wearing an uneasy smile, callously dismissed his concerns, accentuating her indifference by categorizing it as a mere illustrative concept she had envisioned. Fueling the discord, Haejun, visibly irritated, impatiently scrawled yet another idea into her diary, underscoring the gravity of her discontent. Despite the palpable tension, Yihan, in a moment of composure, acknowledged Haejun's meticulous event preparations, seeking deeper insights into her motives. He probed, questioning if there was more substance to her actions. Haejun, with a resolute demeanor, disclosed her contemplation on aligning her actions with Yihan's preferences, earnestly striving to demonstrate her trustworthiness. With conviction, she asserted her determination to showcase CS as a worthy investment post-debt settlement. Retrieving a document from her jacket, she presented it to Yihan, seeking validation. Clarifying its significance, she reminded him of his inquiry about a written promise for the transplant center. Reflecting on his past words, she admitted initial anger but conceded his valid point. Yihan, accepting the contract, attempted to make a swift exit. However, Haejun, in a sudden turn of events, halted him, presenting a diary with an affectionate smile. Reveling in the moment, she explained that a mere 66 million won stood between them and success, urging him to imprint his signature as a symbol of agreement. In the quietude of the evening, Yihan immersed himself in the contract that Haejun had handed him earlier in the day. A sudden burst of laughter escaped him as he delved into the document, finding amusement in its superficial appearance and recognizing the substantial work it needed. Grateful that he refrained from reading it on the spot and potentially laughing in Haejun's face, he couldn't help but marvel at her approach to the entire situation. Abruptly, his phone pierced the stillness, announcing the call of his former secretary, Mr. Kang. Yihan, picking up the call, was met with Kang's apologies for the late-hour intrusion. Kang conveyed his intention to escort Yihan to the gallery, a gesture Yihan deemed unnecessary given Kang's already overflowing responsibilities. Kang assured him it was not a problem and pointed out the impending presence of Yihan's aunt at the event. Expressing concern about the simultaneous attendance of Yihan's mother and aunt, Kang questioned if it would be suitable, alluding to the potential drama due to his aunt's penchant for scandalous romantic escapades. In response, Yihan, puzzled, questioned why it would be an issue. Kang, reminding him of his aunt's history of 3 marriages and numerous romantic scandals, suggested that her primary motive might be to meet Dr. Yoon, possibly causing discomfort for him. Kang, therefore, requested Yihan's company to navigate the situation. Yihan, in a businesslike manner, instructed Kang to ensure their outfits were prepared for the day. Perplexed, Kang couldn't decipher the sudden shift in Yihan's tone as the call came to an end. Yihan's aunt was never one to let things slide, her instincts were keen, and it proved to be quite a nuisance. While driving, Kang commented on how she never pressed if she felt a person wasn't right for Yihan. Yihan affirmed this, adding that it was only because she would swiftly move on to the next candidate without hesitation. As they approached the venue, Kang informed Yihan that Haejun had already arrived. Yihan speculated that she must have made an effort to be punctual that day. A subtle grin played on his lips as he reminisced about Haejun seeking his advice on what to wear, presenting options of looking smart, elegant, or graceful and ladylike. Yihan had chosen the second option, appreciating her sense of style. Upon arrival, Yihan queried Kang about the nature of the event, wondering if it would resemble the gathering from his mother's birthday. Kang clarified that while many company personnel attended his mother's birthday, today's event was more of an intimate gathering with close acquaintances and individuals from Yihan's mother's social circle, including their children. Concerned about Haejun's well-being, Kang asked if Yihan was sure she would be okay. Yihan, confident in Haejun's ability to handle herself, assured Kang that she would be fine. However, Kang's worry persisted. Suddenly, Yihan halted in his tracks as they approached the venue. There stood Haejun, surrounded by a group of people engrossed in conversation. As Haejun looked back and flashed a smile upon seeing Yihan, he was both shocked and relieved, realizing that he wasn't the only one capable of holding his own in such social settings. Haejun, having just arrived at the venue, shared with Yihan that she had greeted some people, but no one had inquired about any details yet. Yihan, somewhat surprised, exclaimed, "Is that so?" Haejun went on to express her relief, admitting she was worried about facing scenarios reminiscent of drama plots where people delve into each other's backgrounds at chaebol parties. Observing Yihan's confusion, Haejun clarified that such situations often unfold in dramas. Yihan, amused, questioned the kind of dramas she had been watching. Swiftly deflecting, Haejun denied watching them and humorously attributed it all to Oreos. She noted that everyone had been kind to her so far. Yihan, nonchalantly, commented that it was to be expected given who she was with. Stepping closer, he raised his arm, indicating for her to hold it. Without hesitation, Haejun took his arm, and they began walking together, emanating the appearance of a couple. Curious about why people were being nice to her, Haejun asked if Yihan had mentioned something. Yihan, attempting to divert the conversation, mumbled some nonsensical words. After a few steps, he assured her there was no one she needed to worry about. However, a sudden realization crossed his mind, and he frowned, cautioning her to be aware of one person, Seo Yihan. Perplexed, Haejun inquired if Yihan wasn't his brother, the one who had visited the hospital. Yihan confirmed it but suggested it was even better that she didn't remember him well. He advised her that getting closer to Yihan would only bring trouble. If she encountered him, Yihan instructed Haejun not to engage, avoid responding to any questions, and not even offer a smile. Haejun, with a touch of sarcasm, queried if Yihan was truly a human, but Yihan chose not to respond, leaving the question hanging in the air. Perceptive, Haejun recognized the dynamics at play as sibling rivalry and acknowledged she got his point. She assured Yihan that she would steer clear of Yihan as much as possible, expressing a hint of frustration that Yihan hadn't disclosed this earlier. She had meticulously planned everything from their first date, envisioning a drama-like scenario that had surprisingly unfolded smoothly. Yihan, with a cryptic comment, stated that he hoped things would stay easy, emphasizing the unpredictable nature of life. Intrigued, Haejun pressed him for an explanation, but Yihan casually suggested she would find out soon enough. Annoyed by his evasive responses, Haejun started pouting and shifted her attention to a painting. Observing Haejun's irritated demeanor, Yihan, captivated by her dazzling appearance, couldn't help but sport a faint smile. Realizing the need to keep up appearances, Yihan reminded Haejun that his mother would arrive soon, advising her not to go overboard. Haejun, questioning how she would know when she's going too far, received Yihan's suggestion to follow their successful strategy from their first date. Understanding the assignment to appear as a genuine couple in front of Yihan's mother, Haejun grasped the importance of standing out for the acquisition of the gallery. Suddenly, Yihan noticed something and alerted Haejun to the presence of his mother. Curious, Haejun asked about the person accompanying her, noting the resemblance. Yihan, maintaining his composure, disclosed that the person was someone Haejun would appreciate, the kind of character she expected from dramas. Yihan could sense his aunt's readiness to uncover people's weaknesses with a single glance. As Yihan's aunt smiled at him, his reaction remained indifferent. In a hushed tone, he whispered into Haejun's ears, teasing the possibility of a bonus for her today. Before entering the gallery, Yihan's aunt voiced her skepticism about Yihan's supposed relationship with Haejun, asserting that Yihan was deceiving his mother and that she wouldn't fall into his trap. Yihan's mother attempted to convince her sister that it wasn't a lie but rather a secret relationship. The aunt, unconvinced, stated that the idea of her getting divorced again would be more believable than this charade. Yihan's mother shared her uncertainty initially but explained that Yihan had brought Haejun to her birthday party, and they had spoken, even if briefly. The persistent aunt questioned why it was only for a moment, asserting that Yihan was likely keeping a watchful eye on Haejun, ready to intervene if needed. Yihan's mother, however, had a different perspective, suggesting that maybe they genuinely liked each other and wanted to be together. The aunt countered, suggesting it was more about necessity to maintain the facade. She argued that they had to stick together, or else they'd be caught in a lie. Yihan's mother, taken aback, questioned why the aunt spoke about Yihan in such a manner. She acknowledged Yihan's past behavior but asked why it couldn't be possible that he had fallen in love. Unyielding, the aunt reminded Yihan's mother of how Yihan had behaved in the past, being mean whenever she introduced him to someone. She insinuated that some of those girls may still be recovering from his callousness and speculated that a few might even be present at the event. The aunt asserted that the truth about Yihan and Haejun would be evident when observed together. Yihan's mother, unsure, inquired about Yihan's whereabouts, acknowledging his knack for such matters. She expressed reservations about him being present, and while she wanted to know the truth before making plans, she wasn't entirely certain about Yihan. The aunt reassured her sister, expressing confidence that she would handle everything from this point forward, putting her wealth of experience as a 3-time aisle walker to good use. In the gallery hall, Yihan's aunt and mother encountered Yihan and Haejun, and the aunt was visibly shocked to witness Yihan being so close to Haejun, a sight she had never seen before. Yihan's mother tried to assure her sister that this time it was the real thing, but the skeptical aunt remained suspicious. Yihan greeted his aunt, Haejun, who responded in kind but sarcastically remarked about finally meeting him after a year of avoidance. Yihan jokingly expressed happiness at her consistent nature, and despite her annoyance, Haejun couldn't help but be captivated by his charismatic appearance. She then turned her attention to Haejun, who introduced herself with enthusiastic energy. Haejun reciprocated the introduction, and Haejun, with a smile, commented that she had heard a lot about her. Haejun, in her sarcastic manner, questioned what Yihan had said, confident that it was nothing favorable. Haejun, taken aback, looked at Yihan, but Haejun reassured her that she wasn't the type to get upset over such matters. Haejun, displaying her quick wit, turned towards Yihan, holding his hand and remarked on the striking resemblance between Haejun and Yihan. Haejun, understanding that Haejun was not an ordinary girl, acknowledged that Yihan had managed to bring someone impressive. Yihan's mother struggled to contain her emotions as Haejun continued to engage in conversation. However, Haejun persisted and inquired about how the two of them had met. Observing Haejun's expression, Haejun anticipated difficulty in answering the question, but to her surprise, Haejun confidently explained that Yihan had come to her hospital for a checkup, and they exchanged numbers on that day. Before they knew it, everything fell into place. Yihan's mother becomes utterly enchanted by Haejun's narrative. However, Haejun intensifies the scrutiny, emphasizing the intrigue of Yihan, who rarely fell ill as a child, visiting Seomoon Jaeil Hospital. She questions the choice of hospital and raises her skepticism about Yihan consulting a cardiothoracic surgeon like Haejun. She inquires sharply about Yihan's ailment that necessitated a visit to a cardiothoracic surgeon. Haejun responds promptly, emphasizing to Yihan's mother that he claimed she suffered from heart arrhythmia, underlining the family history of the condition. Haejun masterfully concocts this story on the spot, noticing Yihan's mother frequently clutching her chest. The mother, completely captivated, succumbs to Haejun's artful storytelling. Despite this, Haejun expresses her astonishment at Yihan's supposedly profound concern for his mother, a side of him she claims not to have known. Yihan, grinning, acknowledges that, after all, she did give birth to him. Following this revelation, Haejun, still grappling to comprehend the situation, comments on the impressive spectacle that unfolded between them. However, she injects skepticism, expressing hope that Yihan isn't inadvertently boring Haejun, emphasizing Yihan's known lack of affection. Haejun attempts to elaborate on Yihan's preferences, but before she can complete her statement, Yihan decisively wraps his arm around her shoulders. With a nonchalant demeanor, Yihan affirms that he is indeed a man of few words, even amidst the display of affection. Haejun shoots a reminder look at Yihan regarding their surroundings, but he casually asserts that he's confident nobody would mind a bit of PDA. He turns to his aunt, Haejun, questioning whether she minds. Haejun, taken aback by Yihan's bold action, reluctantly nods in agreement. While Haejun was in the bathroom, thoughts of Yihan's offer, the promise of an extra 10 million won bonus, brought a sudden grin to her face as the allure of the money crossed her mind. However, amid her happiness, contemplation about Yihan's aunt, who threw an unexpected curveball, also occupied her thoughts. Despite the challenges, she believed she handled the situation well. As she walked out of the bathroom, a momentary pause occurred in her steps. The gallery hall awaited, and Haejun, in her reflections, dismissed the image of Yihan putting his hand on her shoulder. She acknowledged the long road ahead until the contract's completion, reminding herself that there was more to be done. In the gallery hall, Haejun attempted to coax Yihan into confessing his lies. Yihan, however, deflected the questioning, asserting that they were happily dating, urging Haejun not to doubt anything. Haejun mentioned the rumored bet between Yihan and his mother but questioned the worth of going through such trouble. Yihan, feigning ignorance, attempted to brush off Haejun's suspicions. Annoyed, Haejun expressed concern for Yihan, emphasizing that her involvement was for his sake as his only aunt. She challenged his distant behavior, questioning how long he intended to act this way towards her. She posed a hypothetical scenario, asking what if he needed something from her one day. Yihan smirked, seemingly indifferent, and wondered if that day would ever come. Expressing her frustration, Haejun commented on Yihan not escorting Haejun like a princess, finding his attitude towards the situation irritating. Yihan retorted that Haejun was a grown adult and could manage on her own. However, in the back of his mind, Yihan couldn't help but wonder about Haejun's prolonged absence. Yihan abruptly redirects the conversation, urgently inquiring about Yuhan's whereabouts. With an assertive tone, he instructs Haejun to convey to Yihan that he should continue hiding from him indefinitely, emphasizing the gravity of his words. Haejun, intrigued by Yuhan's potential transgressions, sharply comments on the room filled with individuals seemingly reliant on Yihan's family wealth. She speculates that this might be the reason for Yihan's seemingly nonchalant demeanor. Before Yihan can respond, Haejun astutely observes others in the room who may not directly benefit from Yihan's wealth but certainly harbor resentment towards him. She points out the looming presence of numerous individuals with unresolved grievances against Yihan, raising concerns about how they might treat Haejun. Yihan, genuinely puzzled, questions the potential harm towards Haejun. Haejun, grinning with a hint of sarcasm, provocatively wonders why Yihan has accumulated so many enemies. Just as Yihan prepares to address this, a sudden loud voice captures his attention, prompting him to swiftly and decisively run towards the commotion. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Haejun's colleagues engage in animated discussions about her sudden departure and her attire. Their speculation attracts the attention of Juno in the lobby. His concerned inquiry about Haejun suggests a heightened sense of urgency. Learning about Haejun leaving work dressed up, the colleagues initially assumed she was attending a hospital event with Juno. However, realizing Juno's lack of awareness, they deduce that it must be something of a more personal nature. Juno, with a tone emphasizing respect for personal lives, advises his colleagues to refrain from unnecessary speculation about Haejun. They swiftly apologize and assure him they will heed his advice. After the interaction, Juno, now contemplating Haejun's whereabouts, recalls their previous dinner when she seemed distressed. A sudden realization prompts him to believe that Haejun might have gone to discuss the heart transplant center with Yihan. Concerned, he promptly places a call to her. Outside the bathroom, Haejun encounters a woman who enthusiastically greets her, emphatically stating that they met last time. Despite Haejun not recalling the encounter, she decides to play along and greets the woman casually. The other woman, expressing eagerness, mentions hearing about Haejun dating Yihan and wanting to say hello. Haejun simply agrees, acknowledging her relationship with Yihan. The woman dives deeper into her curiosity, inquiring if Haejun works at Jaeil Hospital and if she is a doctor. The conversation expands as two other girls join in, focusing on discussing Haejun. A sudden realization strikes Haejun, and she mentally envisions the scenario as if it were a drama where all the Chaebol daughters gather. Haejun grins, contemplating the myriad of drama genres she seems to be experiencing in that moment. This, however, irritates the other woman, who notices Haejun's amused smile. In a sarcastic tone, she comments on Haejun seemingly having fun, expressing earlier concern about Haejun feeling left out or hurt. Introducing herself as Ju Haeun of Juhan Bank, she snaps back at Haejun's inquiry about her profession by emphasizing that the bank belongs to her father, insisting it should be evident. Continuing with a biting sarcasm, Haeun suggests that Haejun might have misunderstood due to her limited understanding of the world. She points out the common practice of introducing oneself with company names and asserts that everyone present knows Haejun's hospital is owned by Seomoon Group. Haeun provocatively questions if this means Haejun is set to inherit a different hospital. Haejun promptly denies any such notion, emphasizing her independence. Haeun asserts her belief that Haejun is destined to inherit a prestigious hospital like Jaeil, speculating that she might hail from a family of doctors. Haejun promptly refutes this, clarifying that her parents lead a simple life, running a small store outside of Seoul. Despite her straightforward response, Haeun viciously laughs and then offers a half-hearted apology, suggesting that she shouldn't have probed into Haejun's background. Undeterred, Haeun persists, explaining that her assumption wasn't intentional. She just presumed that a doctor dating the future head of Seomoon Group would possess a background of similar stature. When Haejun questions the meaning of insight, Haeun elaborates, stating that people tend to associate with others of their own status in such settings. She sarcastically marvels at Haejun's audacity to attend an event like this and comments that she has something to learn from her. Not stopping there, Haeun continues by remarking on Yihan's calculated choices despite his seemingly elevated status. Haejun, curious, questions if Haeun knows Yihan well. Haeun confidently asserts that she does, citing a shared history between them. One day, Yihan's mother urgently calls him at the hospital, and to Yihan's surprise, Haeun is already present there. Haeun warmly greets Yihan, and Yihan's mother informs him about Haeun's visit despite her busy schedule. However, instead of acknowledging Haeun graciously, Han, assuming Haeun already knows him well, dismisses the idea of disturbing both of them and decides to take his leave. He turns to his mother, expressing his frustration that he rearranged his schedule because he was told she was on the brink of death, but since she seems fine, he decides to leave. As Haeun attempts to say something, Yihan interjects, commenting on the inappropriateness of setting up a blind date in a hospital. Haeun, feeling a mix of frustration and anger, manages to keep her composure in front of Yihan's mother. Despite several subsequent attempts to engage Yihan in conversation, Haeun faces repeated failures. She despises how Yihan appears to think he is superior to her, and she can't fathom his rejection of her, only to end up associating with someone like Haejun. The situation leaves Haeun frustrated and incredulous.